Yeah, absolutely correct. In a lot of ways, he answered my next question because I was going to ask about the response from the players and people interested, and not just the players. I dropped by a couple times, and you felt the enthusiasm. The new approach was well received. It was literally unbelievable. There were players approaching me as like, "Is this for real? These guys?" I was like, "Yeah, this is for real. You don't need to pinch yourself. This is happening." And what I like is as you said, they're getting information from the source. As you know, in Trinidad and Tobago, whether for better or worse, there are a lot of people who love to give advice, and it is in any career, any field, any particular area you're working in, you speak to the qualified people involved. In this particular case, people, it's not just unique to Trinidad, but sometimes misinformation can cause us to lose out on a lot of talent. A lot of players simply don't pursue careers because they're given the wrong information. They're told, it doesn't make sense. And to have valid information from the source and also coming through on those promises, because a lot of these younger players, I speak to them a lot. If they've been broken by, misleading information, bad promises, it's kind of sad sometimes. So I felt the enthusiasm, and you're correct. The futsal game, although we are familiar with the smaller form of the game with the smaller goals, although we play indoor, it brings me to my next interesting point. The game FIFA is part of the younger culture now. There's no escaping that. I'm somewhere in the middle. I'm still young-ish. But there's a new, and this shows you how the futsal game is infiltrating the world mainstream. Usually the game has standard football. They implemented the futsal mode in this edition of FIFA. And a lot of the kids, after they interacted with you guys, have been playing the futsal game on FIFA, which is very interesting, including myself. I'm not going to exempt myself, just to familiarize themselves with the game. And it's an interesting way, because of the situation we're in, where in addition to the theoretical knowledge, they actually can sit down and actually play games. I also recently set up a Trinidad versus Canada game just to entertain the masses. You all can check that out in the link in the description below or up in the corner. I'll put it there. What do you think about the increased enthusiasm and also the unexpected side effect of kids now, as a result of what you guys are doing? They are playing the futsal mode, and they want to learn. What are your thoughts on that?
Sure. Futsal is a small-sided version of the grass game. Faster paced, faster thought and decision-making required. One of the things that the young players love about it, and I run my own youth futsal program at Pro Series. One of the things the younger players love about it is, compared to the outdoor version, you get a lot more touches on the ball. So there's a lot more exciting, a lot more playing involved in it. In the game of futsal, you cannot hide. The larger versions of the game outdoors, 11v11, you may not touch the ball for a lot of the game. It's a known fact that in the grass game, a player in a game may not have the ball for more than maybe 2 out of 90 minutes. So the indoor version allows for a lot more engagement in the game, especially if you're maybe a less technical player. It forces you to be on the ball and forces you to improve. When we coach at all levels and we say that the game is the greatest teacher, the futsal is a perfect example of that. You have a 5v5 version with goals that you can shoot into. There are all elements of the game inside of there. So naturally, now they're going to want to, when they're not out there on the court, and that FIFA has activated that side of it, I think it's fantastic for awareness and education of the game in the young players. And again, we come back in the conversation again to the use of technology. So it's been discussed on coaching courses before. What are the pros and cons of these video games? And those are some of the advantages of it. Younger players access to a lot more information. They know the names of all these players that I don't even know some of them. So it also it brings challenges for the coaches. Now we have to up our game. You know, what is this kid talking about? So I have to admit that I even took a shot at it at my house. I took a shot at the futsal, and I'm not being allowed back on it, Andre. the complaints that I do have, that you know. But yeah, it's good that the young people dictate. They are the future, and we have to listen and pay attention to what they say and what they do, you know, and see how we continuously try to engage them, you know. It's one of the challenges as a youth coach that, you know, we compete against so many things, technology and other sports, and we have to be innovative and embrace technology, you know, always.
A lot of coaches have to face that issue, even in the wider perspective. Coaches like Mourinho and Pep, you know, they were speaking about how quickly it is to get left behind in this fast-paced world that we're in. You know, just a couple years ago, you know, Mourinho and Pep as well were considered, and they still are, depending, you know, obviously they still are. But, you know, the general masses, at one point, Mourinho was considered the most pioneering coach, and quickly, once he had to readjust to the different types of players, because coaches are motivators and communicators, and, you know, he had to reinvent himself. Pep did it as well. And this is just another example of that, because right now, you know, esports is something that a name that is now starting to infiltrate Trinidad and Tobago in the wider masses. You know, there's a TT Pro League going on where there's 11 versus 11. It's not futsal, but it's football. And one of the things that it reveals, you can see, just like the real game, the game is the best teachers. You have to be positionally aware. You still have to control your player and go in the right positions. And the players, you can actually see who is, you know, tactically very aware and technically very aware, and who isn't. And it's interesting because now you could use these videos and probably sit with these kids and say, okay, you should have been here instead of here. You know, what is your interpretation of that position? And things like that. And it's a tool that maybe was not accessible before, because you would probably have to wait for an actual game session. And it probably would even maximize game sessions, because as you know, you are actively involved in this. You know, training time is limited, so you have to be very efficient in what you're doing. And in a lot of ways, it's like homework. You know, I was a part of the generation where, you know, video games were seen as a distraction. And there are some cons. There has to be controlled. But, you know, it's quite exciting sometimes to see how things evolve from technology. And it goes back to the very beginning of what we were speaking about at the beginning of this conversation, the use of technology. You know, you guys are communicating with the players, you know, the video game aspect, implementing lessons. You know, in Trinidad and Tobago, you know, this has been done in other places, but it has been long overdue in the footballing circles, this sort of detailed and open-mindedness when it comes to, you know, football development. And, you know, you guys deserve a lot of kudos for that, because, you know, while we have a lot of gifted and talented people, you know, there's a lot of areas, for example, technology, which is what we're speaking about, where we could have closed the gap, but we may have lost some ground, because when 2 years ago in the CONCACAF Champions League, I think it was the CFU qualifications. I can't remember if it was Central FC or so on, but one of the teams from the smaller islands, usually Trinidad and Tobago and Jamaica are the strong teams. And they defeated, I believe it was Central FC, who was a very strong team, and they gave credit to the victory from the use of technology. So, you know, Paul, you know, you guys deserve a lot of credit for that. And if people would like to find more information on the national setup, also your academy, where would they go?
National setup would be TTFA official website, and for Pro Series they can follow our social media pages on Instagram and Facebook, Pro Series Events.
Folks, I'll put a link in the description below for both those sites. You could check them out. If you have any questions, comment in the comment section below. Head straight to the sites themselves. Speak to Paul or whoever else is responsible. We'll also be speaking to Coach Coney So stay tuned for that episode, and we'll be speaking a lot more with both Paul and Coney as, this unfortunate pandemic goes on about technology and football development. And if you have any questions whatsoever, as I said maybe 500 times in all my videos, feel free to comment, like, subscribe, leave suggestions. We love doing that because you all decide the content we have. You let us know what you all want to hear about, and we'll discuss it. So Paul, I know you're a very busy man. We appreciate you taking time out to inform the public about what's happening in football and that you all are actively working. You all are not just at home sitting down, toes up on the couch. The work is taking place and you've managed to squeeze some time in for us, and we greatly appreciate that.
Thank you very much, Andre, and we appreciate what you do as well. Thank you so much.
Okay, no problem. We're very susceptible to flattery here, so I appreciate it. I appreciate that comment. So folks, like I said before, be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and our website, extvmedia.com. We have daily content and also blogs and articles. You can check those out. I'll put some links in the description below. So once again, thank you for joining us. Just a reminder, everyone, for more episodes, be sure to head over to our YouTube channel. Also, don't forget to subscribe for more updates, interviews, and content.